Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Clay Center Corner. I'm Rudy Airwood. I work with marketing and communications at the Clay Center, and we're so excited to have you back now for, I believe this is our 4th episode. And each week, or every few weeks, we're actually coming to you and telling you about all the different branches of the Clay Center and the different activities and programming we have going on. And so just as a little reminder, we have 4 main branches of the Clay Center. We have our beautiful Mayor Performance Hall, where we have several fantastic shows come in there every month. We also have our Discovery Museum, which is extremely interactive and fun. We're going to hear a lot more about here in just a few minutes, as well as our Juliet Art Museum with beautiful permanent collection as well as several exhibits that are temporary. And we also have an incredibly massive planetarium that you can come in and see a lot of different shows and movies right now. But we want to get started with education today, and if you've been following Clay Center Corner at all, you've probably seen him giving us some intro videos each week about our newest exhibit, but this week we have him in studio, so I want to welcome Thaddeus Papke for being here today. And Thaddeus is our Director of Education. So Thaddeus is actually going to give us kind of a demo today, and I told you, put this on not even a child's level, put it on Rudy level today because I was never the science kid in school. I'm so sorry. So I'm glad we have you here today to break this down for me.
I'll see what I can do.
So what are we doing exactly? What are these props? What is happening here?
So yeah, I brought a bunch of really disparate things here,
Okay.
but it's all going to make sense by the end.
Okay, I trust you.
promise.
I
Yeah.
trust you.
So we have an exhibit coming this summer, Dinosaur Safari.
Yes.
And in preparation for that, I've been doing a little bit of digging myself and unearthing the fossils that we have in our collection at the Clay Center. And we've got really a very wide variety of interesting specimens.
Wow, okay.
But there's only one type I want to talk about today, and that's coral fossils.
Okay.
But before I get to those, I want to talk a little bit about how one of my favorite things in science is a little bit counterintuitive, because the way we learn science in school, it always seems very segmented.
Sure.
Like you learn chemistry, you learn biology, you learn physics, and it all seems like these are very separate.
And I was terrible in all of them, so I'm glad you're here. Yeah.
But when it comes to actual research science, these fields really blend and overlap.
Okay.
So what I want to talk about is how paleontology and the study of these ancient coral fossils helped solve an astrophysics problem in the 1960s.
Okay, so what was this problem we had going on in the 60s?
So in the 1960s, or really through the 1900s, we were starting to get a really solid idea of gravity, how gravity works, how it affects orbital mechanics, and so on.
Sure.
And people were observing that, well, we've got the Earth, right? Planet Earth, and it's spinning around. And as the Earth is spinning around, we've got something going around us. We're not alone. We've got our friendly neighborhood moon. So if you could just hold that ball, that's going to just represent the moon.
Okay.
And as the Earth is spinning around, the moon rotates around the Earth also, right?
Okay.
But it is not rotating around the Earth as quickly as the Earth spins.
Okay.
And it is this moon moving around the Earth and having its own mass, which has a gravitational pull that gives us our tides, right?
Right. Okay.
So when the moon is over here, it's going to be high tide on this side of the Earth, the side that's close to the moon.
Okay.
Low tide over here. And that's how we know that the gravitation from the moon is affecting the Earth.
Okay.
But as the Earth is spinning, and this is not rotating as fast around it, physicists figured, well, if we're being affected by this gravity, it has to be slowing our planet, because it's not keeping up with how fast our Earth spins. So they theorized that in Earth's distant past, our days were shorter, that there were more days in a single year, and that we're just slowly getting the brakes put on us by the moon over the last, 4 billion years.
Good time to talk to this after daylight savings kicked right in again. So, okay, interesting.
Yeah, right? Days have changed a lot, as it turns out.
Feeling it.
Over the past hundreds of millions of years. But they had no way of really figuring out exactly what this rate was.
Okay.
Until a scientist who works at Cornell named John Wells in the 1960s came up with a brilliant idea. And it combines ocean biology and paleontology. And it uses a concept that's similar to most people called dendrochronology. Now, as you know, when you look at a section of a tree, what do you see?
Okay, we see the rings.
You see the rings,
Okay.
right? And you can count those rings,
Right.
and those rings will tell you the age of the tree.
Okay, all right.
That's a commonly known thing, and you can learn a lot of information by studying those rings. You know, some of them are wider, some of them are shorter.
Sure.
And there's a related discipline called Sclerochronology, which means basically the study of hard things, but it's the same root as skeleton. So it's basically this using skeletons to study time the way you would use tree rings.
Okay, we're getting great vocab lesson here too. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
And now marine animals like coral that have these hard shells
Yeah.
will also basically have rings because there will be these temperature changes throughout the year,
Sure.
you know, and those are regular enough that you can count the rings on like on items like coral and figure out how old they are.
Okay, did not know that. Very interesting.
Now, as the coral grows, as they build their skeletons, they have this what's called accretion, which is where that building of the skeleton, and they do that at a regular rate every single day. So if you look at them really, really closely under a microscope, you can count day rings
Oh my
as well as
gosh.
these year rings.
Okay.
And so John Wells looked at bunches and bunches of corals, counted up all those little tiny rings, and found out that they really averaged out to 365 for every year of growth for the coral.
Whew, that is
And so-
quite a breakdown.
So then he went digging, and he went and started looking at coral fossils.
Okay.
So what I've got here are what's called rugose coral, which is a type of coral that existed in the Cambrian period over 400 million years ago.
Woof.
Yeah. Now, this rugose coral could sometimes be like a single solitary creature like this one here, and it's often found in beds on the seafloor like this where you can actually see a lot of
Yeah.
other fossils.
Yeah.
And those are brachiopods, other sea life. If you look on the other side, you can see bryozoans. You can see what are probably gastropod shells
Oh my
here.
gosh.
So yeah, they were really
Yeah, that's a real clam bake going on in there. There's a lot happening. Okay.
exactly. And sometimes they also lived in groups, colonial
Yeah.
coral as it's called here. And they were larger specimens than most of the coral that we're used to seeing nowadays,
Right.
like what makes up coral reefs.
Sure.
But if you take these solitary ones like this and you look really closely, you can see
Yeah.
those rings that we were
Yes.
talking about.
Oh my
before.
gosh.
Those are the annual growth rings.
Now I'm going to want to look for this every time now I see
Yeah,
anything.
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what those are. And by taking these, and there are tons of them because these proliferated all over the Paleozoic oceans.
Yeah.
And he was able to get a bunch of them from the Devonian period and look at those, cross-section them, and count their daily accretion rings. And he found out that in the middle Devonian period, a day on Earth, or sorry, rather, a year on Earth, had 400 days in it.
Whoa, mondo change there from what we actually kind of
Yeah.
take for granted as our regular yearly calendar. So, whoa. So,
Yeah, so-
so where did these 40-some days go? What
Well, the
happened?
same amount of time exists, but the way we count our
Yeah.
days has slowed. The
Interesting.
rotation of the Earth is slower now because of the gravitational pull of the Earth. He looked at what's called the Pennsylvanian period, which was about 100 million years later, did the same experiment, and in that case, it came out to 395 days. So that kind of gives us that rate of change and evidence that the one earlier period, days were shorter. 100 years later, their days are getting shorter, 395 in
Yeah.
a year. And now, let's see, roughly 300 million years past that, we're down to 365 days a year.
Oh my gosh. Wow, the Earth is no one-trick pony here. It's very
Yeah.
busy. There's a
Yeah,
lot
and that
going on.
means that thanks to our moon, in a few
Yeah.
100 million years more, our days will have dropped down to, 350 or so.
Wow. So those of us that really think we need a few extra days, you're not getting them. You're
No,
losing them.
no,
That's just how it goes.
we're going to have fewer days going forward.
Well, okay, very interesting. So, okay, so we're talking about fossils, all these different things, but Thad, how is this going to kind of tie in with this upcoming exhibit we have coming to the Clay Center?
I'm glad you asked, because as I said, I've been digging through our fossils and I've been coming up with all kinds of great stuff. I have found dinosaur teeth. I have found coprolites. I have found trilobites. We have a giant mastodon jaw. And
Oh my
we are
gosh.
preparing all sorts of programming that's going to be happening on the floors. We're going to do new types of deluxe birthday parties. We're going to have summer camps. So we're going to really be getting kids in there. They're going to be getting to touch these fossils. They're going to be getting to learn about these
Oh, that's
fossils and
awesome.
all the kinds of different things that we can learn. And we're going to really challenge them to think outside the box like John Wells did
Right.
in terms of what kind of questions can we answer
Yeah.
by looking at these ancient specimens.
Great way to tie it in. So now, what is the name of this exhibit? When is it coming up at the Clay?
It is called Dinosaur Safari, and it will be coming mid-June to
Okay,
the Clay Center.
Gotcha. So, all right. So if you have little ones out there, or if you're just a big fan yourself, this is a great one to come and check out here really soon. And now, along with that, so that is going to be our next kind of temporary exhibit that's coming in. Tell us a little bit, and if anyone's been watching recently, they've seen all your breakdowns of our current temporary exhibit, which is When the Earth Shakes. So that is open, I know, what, a couple more months as well?
Yeah, until the end of May.
Okay, awesome. And so along with that, so we get into May, we're definitely into springtime. I mean, like we say, we've had that time change. We're getting ready to bleed into, I can't believe it's already almost all the way through March. We're going into April, but we have some big things planned in April at the Clay Center.
April is going to be huge. We're doing something different this year that we haven't done before.
Okay, so do tell.
We're calling it Spring Fling at the Clay Center.
Okay.
And every Saturday, we're going to have programming on every single level. Starting
Very
up
nice.
at the top
We're
in the
busy.
Juliet Art Museum, we're going to have the Pansky Ukrainian art decorating classes.
Oh,
So,
fun.
Easter egg
Fantastic.
decorating, but just, a little bit fancier,
Yeah,
really, is what
yeah.
it amounts to.
We're more than just eggs at Easter and springtime now.
Right.
So.
But we're going to keep using eggs for part of
Yeah.
our theme because we're going to be doing engineering egg drop challenges.
Right,
You
right.
come down to the bottom level near the My Town space, and there will be a workshop set up where you get to build contraptions that will use parachutes, bungee cords, just kind of all kinds of different things, really getting to express your engineering skills and your creativity.
Yeah,
and then come
absolutely.
back up to our lobby, drop your eggs down to the bottom level, and see if you can get them to survive. So that's going to be the challenge we're asking of people to do.
No doubt.
We're going to be having hands-on science carts and demonstrations throughout the building at
Yeah.
various times to help talk about the weather cycle, bring in a little science relating to April showers.
Very nice, very nice.
And I'm especially excited to announce that we're going to be resuming live regular programming of star shows in the Caperton Planetarium.
Hallelujah, wonderful. And so I know we're going to talk more about Planetarium here in just a few, but it's crazy to think that summer is also, just around the corner. We're entering into spring. I mean, it's so wild. There is just never a dull moment at the Clay Center. There's never like this down season. It's constant activities and programming, and your education team just stays so busy. Now, after that, you guys, so after we go through all spring fling and everything, summer camp enrollment is actually already open, correct? So what do you guys have planned? Just a few brief things about summer camp.
So we have 18 different, totally unique
18?
18 different summer camps planned. And they are for ages basically 4 to 14 in different brackets. You can find out a lot more information on the website. And they go through a variety of themes. Some of them will involve getting out of the Clay Center and going to Canal State Forest and doing some nature hikes, ecological science. We're going to take advantage of that Dinosaur Safari exhibit being there and really dig into dino science. We're going to do a global safari. We're going to do a lot of tech camps where we're doing robot challenges. There's going to be 3D printmaking. There's going to be art camps. It's really an overwhelming amount.
Yeah, there's really something for everybody, no matter what. I know I had talked to some kids recently, and a lot of times You know, you talk about summer camps. There's such a variety. There really is something for everybody. Because I know,
Yeah.
you know, when I was a little one, I thought, oh, science camp, not so much. Art camp, sign me up. We even have sports and rec camps. I mean,
Yep.
there's just a little bit of something for every different type of personality out there. And along with the summer camps, I know right after that, we talk about that, but continuing every Friday, let's see, I'm trying to think. Every season is Tinker Tots on every Friday. So, because a lot of people ask about programming for very wee ones, and that is something we offer. Is it at, I believe it's at 11 a.m. every Friday.
Every Friday, 11 a.m.
And your education team develops a different program for them every week. It's never the same.
Every week, totally different. There's story time, there's crafts, there's activities. And it's a brand new experience every time. We've got a few families who just come regularly just to be getting out of the house and building relationships with the educators that are there, sharing those stories and activities.
Your team just does such an awesome job building those relationships, breaking things down for the really little ones, everything up into our secondary schools. They just do a wonderful job. And also, I mean, I have to just give a shout out to Zach and Rachel and all of them. They do such a great job also coordinating. We have so many field trips that come through every single week. Every time I see the breakdown of schools, it is mesmerizing how you all keep it so coordinated, but just wonderful feedback. And you can always contact the Clay Center about bringing in large groups, your students, everything. It's affordable, it's fun, it's a great chance to get out of the school, out of the house if you're a homeschooler as well. We have great programming for that.
We have homeschool days coming up.
Yes, we have another one coming up very soon. So, I mean, and we're talking again there a moment ago about the planetarium. So I do want to go and talk about that. I mean, we're so excited to be actually getting some regular programming. And you see the movies list up there, and those play every day. But we haven't had a chance to really put our big astrology shows, all these things out there, and finally a chance to experience astronomy and something regular where we're using these teachable moments in your team, actually getting in there and interacting with the kids. So what do you guys kind of have planned for that?
Oh, that's a really good question. We've got a bunch of things planned. So we've already started doing programming in the planetarium for those school trips that you were talking about. As you say, we bring a lot in. And we were wanting to really do some real interactive, not just put them in front of a film, but let them look up at the sky, make observations, and build discussions around that. So we've already started some of that programming. And starting in April, we're going to be doing our Spring Skies show, where we're going to go in, we're going to give really practical advice about how to do stargazing, how to look for various constellations that are out that time of year. But I always really want to try to find both practical things to do besides just looking at stars. Talk about like how that's functionally useful, how it was historically useful. So get a little history lesson in there too. But then also talk about the kind of frontier of modern astronomy and the connection that exists between those constellations we see in the sky and what astronomers are doing when they're looking through their super powerful telescopes to look at distant galaxies.
Yeah, and that is, and we've been getting a little bit, a tidbit of that during March Madness right now, which has been so fun. I have loved going in there and seeing the education team actually embracing, like, costuming up and coming in as these famous, like, oh my gosh, Zach and I just love the Aristotle looks are so fabulous. And the kids have just absolutely adored checking out these constellations and you guys pointing out to them, sharing their favorite ones with you, you all showing them new ones they've never seen before. And it has been such just great feedback from those families. But the interaction in there and the fact that we're going to get more of that in there soon. And the March Madness actually continues every Saturday through March. So yeah, if you're tired of watching the basketball bracket, you can now weigh in with your favorite scientists.
Well, and I do have an update on that because we had our sudden snowstorm last Saturday.
Right.
So we're going to do our finale for the March Madness on April 2nd.
Oh, okay. So we got a finale now. I like it.
Yes.
So, okay, so I'm pretty sure that Aristotle, unfortunately, was beat out in the first round. So we got to see who our next couple matchups are going to be. So
Yeah.
very excited to see those. And if you guys haven't, that is included with general admission when you come to the museum to come and check that out in the planetarium as well, correct?
Yes, exactly. Yep. Hypatia was the winner of our
Hypatia
first
was the winner,
contest, and she was talking appropriately about the stars because she
Yes.
was an early astronomer, one of the first female astronomers we have on record. And she's going to be giving her presentation again on April 2nd, which is going to be a huge day for us because it is also the launch of that spring fling
That's
activities.
right. We are going to be busy. So we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come right back, and we're actually going to talk about some of the other upcoming programs we have coming up in the Art Museum and with performances. All right, and now we want to talk a little bit about our Juliet Art Museum and the different art programs and activities we have going on. We're very excited because the new Ellie Shaw Retrospective exhibit just opened up. And I know, Thad, I've seen you talking about it a few times too. This is a gorgeous exhibit.
I am blown away by this exhibit. It's incredible.
I mean, it is busy. There are so many pieces, so much color. There have been people going through. I know we have had some of our free nights. Families have come up there. I mean, children have been enthralled with it.
Yeah.
What's so cool is the fact it's not just paintings and I mean, which the paintings are gorgeous. Her watercolors are amazing. And we actually had a watercolor workshop set up with her. It sold out immediately almost. And but the fact that she has done these paintings on furniture pieces, she has these doll houses, it is just so intricate. And I mean, I just can't get over the way it pops. It is incredible. Have you had a chance to kind of walk through and see everything so far?
So I've been through a couple of times, but I've been holding off on a real close look until the Art After Dark this Thursday.
Yes.
Because then my partner and I are going to come and really
Yes.
be able to explore it for the first time. But I've been in around a few times, and other members of the education team have really been up there. We've even led a few field trips through there.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that I think really speaks to this exhibit is something our education specialist, Zach Merritt, was doing, where he brought in field trips of varying ages, elementary school, middle school, high school, and have had them explore this gallery. They've discussed the pieces, talked about what really worked with them, talked about the local connections they could find. And almost every single student could not believe that this was all the work of a single artist.
Yeah.
They thought there was at least 4 different artists that we were
And a
displaying
West
in the gallery.
Virginia artist right here at home. I mean, it is so incredible to think about. I mean, you do not have to go far from your back door to find someone that is just so incredibly talented. Ellie Shaw, I mean, this is I believe, a retrospective that encompasses 60 years of her work. And it has nearly 60 pieces in the exhibit. I mean, it is just absolutely beautiful. You have time to still see it right now. Like you say, it just opened just a few weeks ago, and we have it through June, so you're definitely going to want to stop by and check it out. However, you are going to want to get a move if you are wanting to see the Floating World exhibit. That will be closing at the end of March. That has been such a great connection where we had the Van Gogh for All exhibit in before. Wonderful connection with Van Gogh, with these ukiyo prints inspiring a lot of his work. So that is in our smaller gallery right now, so you definitely want to take the time to stop in and see that as soon as possible. Also, to kind of go hand in hand with Ellie Shaw, we have, like you say, the watercolor workshop sold out very quickly. So you do not want to wait around. We actually have another workshop coming up. It's rug hooking, and which at first I didn't know what it was. Okay, you have seen the stool, right? There it is. There's a picture of it. I saw that, and I did not realize. I mean, again, I just didn't know the term, what rug hooking meant, and that is how one actually designs this. And Susan Feller is coming in to help with this workshop as well, I believe. But you know, there's so many unique pieces in that collection. Again, I love the lunch pail. That is one of my favorite things. And apparently that was such a vogue thing to have here in the Charleston area, to have these painted lunch pails at the time. So cool. Just so many gorgeous pieces. You can just really take your time and go through. I know our recent family nights, all ages were going through and looking at it. Very excited for people to see this. at the Art After Dark events we have coming up in April and May. Again, that Art After Dark gives you a chance to actually go in, see everything in the Juliet Art Museum, enjoy usually live music, as well as do a little make and take art piece, take it home with you. It is just a really great evening. We always have a blast at those. And then Rick Ambrose will actually be having a exhibit that will be opening very soon, right after Floating World makes its exit. So we have a workshop also set up with him. That's just a drawing workshop. But again, spots are always limited for those. So keep an eye out on our website, theclaycenter.org, for all the opportunities. You can go to our ticketing tab, and that is where you can enroll and actually get yourself one of those spots that are, again, very limited for these upcoming art workshops. Now, we've talked about 3 branches of the Clay Center now, but now we're going to the 4th and final, and one of my favorites, the performance side of it. And we are so busy. So we have now had Simon & Garfunkel, Hairspray, and coming up in April, we will have Anastasia coming to town. But Hairspray, hopefully by the time you're seeing this, it hasn't already passed you by. It is in town on the 22nd of March. And it is such a fabulous one. I geek out on it every time. Are you a fan of musicals at all, Thad?
Oh, I am.
Oh, yay!
I did musical theater in high school. I'm all about this.
Yes, Thad. I'm so glad to hear this. And if you notice there, a lot of really well-known names that are coming to Charleston. So Nina West, who's very well known, starring as Edna Turnblad, Nikki Metcalf starring as Tracy, her daughter. Just an absolutely amazing production. That is a show that never gets old. So many classics. You can't stop the beat. I think it was my sophomore year of high school. That was all the rage. We had a fully Hairspray themed show, so I will be out there dancing in the aisles, man. I cannot wait. Tickets are already going really fast for that, and again, it's on the 22nd, so you'll want to get those as soon as possible. That is our closest one to sellout status, so you want to move on it. But we do not want you sleeping on Anastasia either, because that is one that is really, really going fast as well, and that is one of these shows with beautiful flying sets, gorgeous costuming. So excited to see that one. Have you ever seen the movie, Thad?
Oh, yeah. I grew up in the 90s. I remember the movie real well.
Yes, totally. I know that's why I'm super excited, because it's inspired by that animated film. And then finally, we have Jersey Boys that'll be wrapping up our Broadway season on April 27th. And that is one that never gets old, based on, of course, the true story of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. And, you know, if you're hearing Sherry or Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, it's just classics that never get old, they never go out of style, and neither does Jersey Boys, so you want to get those tickets as soon as possible. We have to throw out, before we leave today, the fact that we just got word of, well, I have to say, first of all, sound checks. Lee Vaughn is returning. They were received so well the last time they came to the Clay Center. They opened for REO Speedwagon, and I mean, the hall was filled to see them. They were the opener, and they were incredible. So excited to see them. And so excited that we just announced this week that Jason Isbell and 400 unit will be coming this summer. That is a big one, and I cannot wait. Those tickets are going on sale in March here too, so we want to encourage you to get those as soon as possible. That will be a hot ticket in town as well. So Thad, I assume we'll see you at a few shows?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You know, there's so much going on. You
got to take advantage of being here at this awesome place. Just so much going on at the Clay Center right now. And we want to remind everybody that Sip and Savor is coming up. Our development team works so hard on these events. We have one, it's actually a tequila tasting event coming up at the 1010 Bridge. Love that restaurant. Love Chef Paul Smith there. And right after that, in April, we do a follow-up vodka type tasting, and also a great dinner and everything that comes with that as well at Soho's. Adore that place. So a lot going on, a lot happening, and we have a lot of new spots for team members as well. So I know a lot of those will be working with you, Thad.
Absolutely.
And just in general at the Clay Center. So again, thanks to Thad for being here today. And hopefully, if you can be part of our team here soon, you'll come and join us at the museum or for a performance very soon. And if not, we'll see you here in just a couple more weeks here on Clay Center Corner, and take a look at a few of these open jobs coming up here at the Clay Center. Hopefully you'll be on our team.